Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and today I'm going to review the 4K Blu-ray edition of Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. You can also find me over Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Movie Guy 365, as well as over at the Disney Magic Hour podcast. I will put a link for that in the description. Okay, Dr. Strangelove, Stanley Kubrick's iconic satire war film, is available on 4K as part of the Columbia Classics Collection Volume 1. That is the only way to get this physical release. As of right now, no individual release has been announced, but I expect that to change in the future if you want to wait for that. But we're going to be reviewing it as part of the collection. Now, as far as the movie itself goes, it's really just one of those, it's a Kubrick film, it is. But it's more of a comedy aspect, satire, and it's really, I feel like one of the more underappreciated of his films. I know it has kind of a timely, tone to it, and there's a little bit of just, it's just one of those movies that you really have to watch for yourself. But like George C. Scott, Peter Sellers are amazing in it, and they're just great actors. They have such iconic, and you no doubt you've seen clips of this movie if you haven't seen the movie itself. It's just one of those films. But it's just really classic Kubrick, and I think really one of his more underappreciated works. I'm, very happy this got a 4K release, and being a black and white film also enhances that, resolution from 4K and HDR. So let's talk about that picture quality and audio, but first let's do a quick unboxing. Okay, Dr. Strangelove is here as part of the Columbia Classics Collection 4K set Volume 1, and then we have the back cover and the spine, and then like the other releases, they have different artwork on the interior, and then some simple artwork. It's always appreciated when they add art, even to any movie. Yeah, looks great. All right, now let's talk about the picture quality and the audio. Dr. Strangelove was, of course, shot on film and supports a native 4K resolution as well as HDR10. Now, of course, this being a black and white film, you wouldn't expect HDR to have a lot of punch when it comes to the color aspect, and you would be right. But where we get are really nice fine details, and of course black levels are the highlights here of this particular release. Now, just as somebody who appreciates good film grain, it's very much used appropriately here. I don't feel it's used abundantly. It's not obtrusive. So if you're kind of on the fence about film grain, I think you'll be pleased here. I think it's really a nice use of it, and it just furthers the resolution of the film. Now, as far as those black levels go, they look great. Just those interior shots, of course, there's a lot of lighting. Kubrick was great on his angles. Most of his films make, great use of this, but as far as being a black and white film, it really, just brings out those light sources really nicely. Black levels look fantastic. Grays and whites also are given their proper due. They look really well rendered. Detail is exceptionally well done here. Uniforms of the military personnel look great. Up close shots of locations look fantastic. Skin textures are also really nicely rendered. It's a good use of that HDR to bring out those fine details. It looks fantastic. For the audio on the 4K disc of Dr. Strangelove, we're given a DTS 5.1 as well as a DTS mono mix. So, pick your poison, whichever version you prefer. For the purposes of this review, I'm going to talk about the 5.1. Now, this is a very dialogue-heavy driven film. Now, there are moments where action does spring to life. I'll talk about that in a moment. But for dialogue purposes, it's very clean, easy to understand. There's a lot going on in that department, and it sounds fairly consistent throughout the film. Now, as far as what's going on up front, those front speakers are used quite heavily, and they handle a lot of the activity from just some action moments to, like, you know, the bomber flying over, you know, over on screen. Everything sounds great. It's nicely centered, and it sounds good. There isn't a whole lot going on as far as the rear speakers go. There's a little bit of ambient, a little bit of action, and of course a little bit of the score, but it's sprinkled throughout the film, and it's just not overly consistent. It's just that type of movie. You don't necessarily want to rebuild everything from scratch, but it's pretty good. That the LFE is okay. It's not overly aggressive. In fact, it kind of just lays dormant for quite a bit and really brings itself out on those aforementioned action scenes. But it's a good use, and it does sound pretty good. For the picture quality of Dr. Strangelove, I'm going to give this one an A score. It's very good use of film grain. The HDR really brings out that detail. Black levels look fantastic, and it makes the black and white picture really stand out. It's nice and clear. Now, as far as the audio presentation goes, I'm going to give this one a B+. It's very dialogue heavy driven. It's clean, it's very clear, but there's not a whole lot going on in the other channels. But it is sprinkled throughout the film, and it's just one of those audio mixes for the time period. You know, the way the film was shot, that it's just, you know, not going to be overly aggressive, but it's still a very decent representation on 4K. So that is my review of Dr. Strangelove on 4K. Let me know in the comments below if you had a chance to check it out and what your thoughts were of the presentation. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.